Welcome back on the mountain today. We have our tools all loaded up and we're going to go process those trees we cut when we made the tractor barn. All right, we're up here at the tractor barn. Here's the two trees that we left for processing. We have this one pine tree on top, and there's an oak tree down there underneath. Now those trees have been down there for about a week or two, just long enough for the spiders and snakes and stuff like that to get all up underneath there. So we got to be a little bit careful. I think the first thing we're going to do on this pine tree is figure out how much good log we have here that we want to go to the sawmill, and we need to cut all these limbs off. So we're going to do this all scientific-like. I didn't bring a tape measure, but we're going to measure the first log at 6 feet, 12 feet to the branches. I think we could probably go 16 feet. That's at least 8 foot times 2. I don't know. Get our saw going. Uh-oh, got to pump the little bowly thing. All right, we got that first log all limbed off. Now the bad thing is there's not a great way to pull this log out of here. I think what we're going to try to do is tie a rope to the end of the log here, hook the tractor on it, and pull it that way. All right, we got a big nasty strap that has mud all over it and quite a bit of sailboat main sheet. That should be good enough. I think the plan is just going to be put this strap under here, put it like this so it'll cinch up super tight, and so we can keep that organized. Tie this with a bowline knot. A bowline? I don't know what it's called. I think some people call them bow lines, but you wrap the rope around this way, stick the thing through, bunny goes around the tree, and back in the hole. Done. It should look like that when it's all tied correctly. You know, the most difficult thing about all this YouTube video stuff is I can't really film with my gloves on. So you always got to take one glove off to turn on the camera, reset the camera, do something else. It's a lot of work. We need to attach the rope to the tractor, and I think we want to do the same thing. We'll just put another bow line knot right here. This time it's going to be the loop variety. That should be good. That went about like you would expect, pulling that log out of the woods. We're going to go ahead and shorten this up and hook it right on the bucket here so we don't take this corner out of the shed. We want to knock our barn down. Missed it by that much. All right, we have this little pine log down here by the sawmill. Obviously it's longer than we can cut, so we have to decide how long we want to make each section. Now usually what we would do is start at the big end of the tree and work backwards until the diameter drops quite a bit and then cut it there. But in this case, I think we're just going to cut it in half. Half is pretty good. Come on, log, roll over. There you go. We don't want to dull our saw by cutting the wood in the mud. We have an oak tree to get next. That's almost half. Let's go get back and get that oak tree. We need to holster our saw. Perfect. All right, we have our Kubota tractor back in position. This oak log is going to be a lot heavier than that pine, and it's also further down the hill. So I'm hoping to take a slightly different angle up to this top tractor barn, but we'll see. Now the good news about this oak tree is it's buried underneath all of our pine debris. That's pretty bad planning right there. So I think we're going to do the right thing and get way down in here somewhere and figure out where the end of our oak log is, which is going to be back in there somewhere, I think. If we can make that cut first. We might have to get rid of a bunch of these limbs along the way, just so we can walk in there. So let's get to it. All right, we have that oak log all prepped. It's also quite a bit longer than that pine log. It goes way down the hill. I would say about 25 feet. We might want to cut this in half before we try to drag it out. but we're going to hook it to the tractor and see what we can do first. So one of the biggest problems pulling these logs out with these straps and ropes is if that rope breaks, like a huge rubber band, and it's coming straight at the tractor with a lot of force. So we're going to do the right thing and use 2 ropes. Sounds like a plan. How we doing back here? I didn't hear you guys yell or anything. Oh my goodness. Let me show you what we got going wrong. All right, so we have this log. It was laying over here. We pulled it that way, but it's trying to torque underneath that underbrush down there. So we might need to help it out a little bit. Also, our path on this side, we're rubbing pretty hard on a little tree here. I don't know, little tree. We might have to cut you down. Sometimes you got to sacrifice the little ones. We're going to try a little bit of manual labor, see if we can push that log this way and save the little tree. How we doing now? Looks like we've cleared all the debris up here. There's a lot of sap in there. All right, we're just going to pull it a little bit more. Hope it goes around the corner. Oh no! Let me show you the problem. So we're slowly getting that thing to pivot around this tree, but we've kind of ran into this little tree up front. You know, the little tree we were trying to save? He's got to go. All right, let's put some more pressure on it with the tractor. Go, little tractor, go. Oh no, you took a tumble there. I hope you're okay. You got to be careful working around trees. All right, the good news is we made it past where the little tree was. We're still pivoting on this big tree. We have most of the log up to the excavator barn. We just got to keep pulling it that way and we should be okay. We're going to shorten up our rope a little bit so we can steer it better. Now another reason we use the bowline knot, especially with a Dacron rope or Spectra rope, is no matter how much pressure you put on it, you can always get the knot untied. If you put any kind of other knot on there, good luck. Now we're going to stop right there for a second. We don't want that log to roll down into the tractor barn. So we're going to do the right thing. Put a couple chocks in here. May or may not help, we'll see. Those blocks of wood seem to help a little bit. We're going to go ahead and take off the rope so we can get a lot more control on the log so it doesn't roll away from us. Like I was saying before, these bottle end knots, they come undone really easy, even after you put lots and lots of pressure on them. So that's good. You just kind of break it over the top. Pull the rabbit back out of the hole. And we are untied. Alright, like before, this log is way too long to put on the sawmill like it is. The first 8 feet or so is about a 12-inch diameter log to about here. And the rest of that is about probably an 8-inch diameter log. And that last little bit might be 6. So I think what we're going to do is cut it there. And then we're going to roll the rest of the whole log up on the thing. Cut that 6-inch piece off later if we want to. right, that's enough labor for one day. I'm a sweaty mess. Let's review what we got real quick. So I think on our next trip up here to the sawmill, we're going to cut up this oak log here. I'm going to save this Y here. We're going to take it in the turning shop. We'll make some type of a live edge bowl or something out of that. We have these 2 pine logs. They're not very thick. So I think we're going to just cut them into square 6x6 posts. I always need posts for something. And these 2 oak logs that we have at the end here, we're going to have to wait and see on those. That end down there is pretty good. We could probably get 4 oak 2x4s out of that. And this one here would probably be a better 6x6 post. Now we also have all these oak things up here in the woods. They've been there for a little while, but not long enough for them to get rotten or anything. I think we're going to cut those into square posts at the same time. We might need to do a little bit of landscaping back here to clean up our mess. But I want to leave all that foliage down there. I don't want to use the chipper shredder or anything on it. It makes great cover for deer. And there's nothing better than a herd of deer hanging out right past your tractor barn. A lawn chair, a cooler, that's a good time. So next time we're going to come up and do some sawmilling. But until then, you guys get outside, do something fun, come back and tell me about it.